All right, welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and get started with Bill from Valeo.
Thank you, commissioners, staff, Betty. Appreciate the time. I'm Bill Persinger. I'm the Chief Executive of Valeo Behavioral Health Care. We appreciate the time this morning. We're going to run through the presentation. I want to be sure we leave plenty of time for questions and answers at the end, but our time is your time. And if Chair, if we can go ahead and get started, I'll have folks in the audience introduce themselves. They'll stand up one by one, say who they are and what their affiliation is. Start with Tyler.
Good morning. Tyler Levere, currently serving as the chair of the Valeo Behavioral Health.
Good morning, Linda Oaks. I'm currently the secretary for the governing board for Valeo.
Dick.
Dick Klein, past chair of the Valeo board.
Frank Henderson has been past chair.
Pass.
Megan Mosley, chair of Breakthrough House of the board.
Mary.
Mary Bonley, executive director of Breakthrough House.
Stacy.
Good morning, I'm Tracy Keene, the CFO with Family Service and Guidance Center.
And I'm Kathy Mosher, the CEO of Family Service and Guidance Center. Welcome.
Great, welcome to all of you.
Chair, with your consent, what I'll do is just run through the overview document. It's about 3 pages, down from 13 last year. So we thought you might appreciate the brevity. So I'm going to, Linda here's our timekeeper, so if she whacks us on the head or stands up, it's time to quit. But I just want to run you through. This year, as a kind of a display of, the work we do, all three of us do together on behalf of the county, we just cobbled our numbers together. And, so we can break that out later on if we need to. But this gives you an idea of the scope of service that the three agencies provide. It also talks, and what I really want to focus on are the number of people who are unemployed. Statewide in the mental health center, the vacancy rate is 25 or 30% on the average. Here in our county, it's 20% when you add all of the vacancies up, about 136 open positions at all three agencies, which kind of leads to the next paragraph in terms of our challenges. That is really, COVID has, even though it's passed, and though it does run through our buildings from time to time, it really, kicked us all kind of, 6 ways from Sunday. And we're just now kind of rebuilding. But, with every one of the agencies, cash is the concern, especially the kind of money that comes from the county and a piece of our state money that can be used for ongoing everyday operations. And so, as you all know, costs have gone up, and unfortunately, revenues have gone down. So we've all had quite a few challenges. We have noticed not necessarily some increase in the volume of services and people seeking help, but the stories and the problems that people are bringing to us, the folks that, Valeo and Breakthrough House see on the street every day, the kids and the families that Family Service and Guides see in the schools and other places, the severity of the problems, the acuity, and the stories we're hearing are just much more acute. Of course, the rising costs. We have a lack of access to state hospital beds, although KDADS is trying. They've made some improvements there, but we just don't have enough psychiatric hospital beds in the state of Kansas. The methamphetamine addiction problem is a continuing challenge for individuals and families, and Medicaid expansion would sure help a lot, but we've just not been able to get there yet in the state of Kansas. So we just wanted to deliver kind of an impact statement. That's at the bottom of page 2. You can see sort of some of the so what. Okay, we provide funding to mental health, so what? Well, we know that working together, the three agencies are keeping people at home with their families, out of jail, off the streets to the extent we can, out of emergency rooms. We've got a number of programs. We got Breakthrough House and Valeo on the street every day, trying to intercept people early on so that we can, try to divert them away from, a worse outcome for them. And then we just wanted to detail the funding history, wanted to make sure that we come in this morning and share this information with you. Our ask for calendar 2023 is an increase of $750,000 that would be divided per history if granted between the three agencies. And so we've included our 2023 ask at the bottom of this document. It's also in a cover letter that we supplied to the commission and staff earlier this summer. I do want to take 30 seconds, just highlight a few things. How am I doing? About Valeo. A lot of these topics we've presented on before, but I want to highlight our competency to stand trial evaluation and restoration program pilot that's here in the county. under Director Cole's leadership. He is just, other than rescue mission, breakthrough, in fact, others are just one of the most awesome partners that we have in trying to, get people out of jail who don't need to be there for their competency work. Larned actually is sending the director of the competency program up here to do restorations and evaluations. We know that we've saved trips down to Larned State Hospital and trying to do that work here locally. Commissioner Cook's been involved in some of those planning meetings as well. The Mobile Access Partnership, we know you've all heard about that. It's just a way to get in touch with people way upstream, kind of put ourselves in the way of people who are homeless or otherwise unsheltered or at risk. About 700 distinct individuals in the 13 months or so that that program's been operating. Substance use disorders are back full-time at the jail now that the COVID crisis has kind of mitigated somewhat and lifted. We've also got our mental health liaison going into the jail 2, 3, 4 times a week, trying to create follow-up plans for people. We're about ready to hire a staff person that will do follow-up with women leaving the prison to reduce the risk of trafficking or maybe re-trafficking for those individuals, working with Rotary International and some others. Working on specialty courts with the DA's office and many others, and members of the legal community have been involved in that. And then again, we're just continuing the co-responder and the CIT program, which, by the way, co-responder program, very hard to staff. We have a couple of openings there, so it's kind of at low tide right now. Chief Wheelis and I have been talking quite a bit. City Manager Cochran and I have been talking quite a bit about how can we continue that program. There's a lot of energy there from the city to continue that program. So I think what I'll do is just go ahead and pass to Kathy Moser, Director of our Family Service and Guidance Center. Kathy.
Thanks, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is my first time speaking to you all, so bear with me. I'm a little bit nervous today, but we're really excited. I'm excited to be partners with Bill. I've known him for a very long time. We don't ask for funding. I know he doesn't either unless we really need it. This is one of those years where we really need it, and it's going to affect the return on investment that the county gets if we continue to be underfunded with the amount of growth and demand of people who are needing mental health services, because that's up. And an example of that for the pediatric mental health, which is what we serve, is that people being seen, kids being seen all over the community for self-harm issues has grown 300%. The 60% increase in suicide for school-age children. This is what we have to tackle. So more people are calling, more people are coming to our doors. We served 3,400 more youth this year with no additional funding. So that's kind of where we're at. And these are underinsured individuals who need the types of services that insurance doesn't cover adequately or doesn't cover at all. We reached 10,000 youth in our community. That's about 1 in 5 youth in our community, and the need just continues to grow. And I bet the stressors that were caused by being kicked sideways, like Bill had said with COVID, you guys all know somebody whose mental health has suffered during this time, and that's what we see every day. We provided over 155,000 hours of service, and that's an increase of 4,000 hours of service. We provided 237 more crisis bed days for youth, and that was to keep them out of the ER because those mental health issues start clogging up the ER, but the ERs were already clogged up with other things and COVID and those kinds of things. And we also have crisis beds. That's not a required service, but we do it because our community has to have it. Otherwise, our community's not safe. And it keeps the kids safe, it keeps the community safe while they're waiting, especially for residential treatment or that higher level of care that, as Bill talked about, there's a shortage of beds out there for inpatient. A couple things that you probably don't know about Family Service and Guidance that I'm very proud of and proud of our staff for. We added therapists into 21 schools. So the ones that, for whatever reason, the parents aren't getting those kids through our door, we now can reach them at schools, and the parents are much more able to say, yeah, if you can see them at school, then I'm fine with that. So we've reached 327 kids who were falling through the cracks that way. Building outside our four walls and making things accessible, that is the direction that we're going. And we've had great success this year. But what's neat is we asked, we're getting smarter, we asked for outcomes. And instead of us collecting our own outcomes, we asked the schools, you tell us how we're doing, you tell us how it's working. So of the kids who participated in those on-site school programs, I was worried about taking them out of class, that maybe that would affect their attendance. And actually, instead of going out for an appointment and then not coming back for the day, it increased attendance. So of the kids in our program at schools, school attendance actually improved 36%. Behaviors improved 55%. And again, this isn't us rating that. These are the teachers and the school personnel rating this. And their grades improved by 42%. And that's only going to get better. The feedback from parents and schools has been fantastic. They need more of us in there. They need our programs to grow and expand in order, because the severity of what they're seeing in the schools is so severe that it interferes with their learning. So our job is to help them get into learning mode and stable enough to be able to learn and get into the classroom so that they can be there, and when they are there, they're learning. We also established the need that youth are more prone to alcohol drug addiction than they ever were before, that's rising. And so we have successfully accomplished we have a license now. We're licensed to be an alcohol drug provider in our community. We still partner with the other, all our community partners, and it doesn't matter where you get help, we just want you to get help. But there wasn't enough of it in our area, and so we have started that. Our crisis house has been so effective in reducing hospitalization, reducing being pulled away from your families, helping families be successful and happy together, that we are now having so much demand for crisis services and the self-harming and suicide issues that I mentioned with kids, that we are building a new, bigger, better, safer crisis house, actually out on our campus. So it'll be part of the regime. So we're excited to do that, but of course that's really costly, and now it's much more costly than when we first started planning this, because of supply chain issues and inflation and costs going up. Okay, so we need to expand services. And what I wanted to point out to you, and I hate being the bearer of bad news my first time up here, but as I've looked across the funding, and I can tell I've met a couple of you, and I can tell that Shawnee County's been very supportive of mental health, and that you appreciate the life-saving work we do, and I thank you for that, because that's what it takes. And you are getting a great return on your investment. For every dollar you spend on mental health, you get about a $4 return on other budget areas. That's shown through many studies. But I wanted to tell you that we receive about $30,000 less from Shawnee County than we received in 2011. That's where we are in funding. Now, between 2011 and now, that inflation has gone up 29%. So I just want you to know that is not sustainable, and that could cause us not to add staff, be able to keep up with the workforce growing labor expenses of staff, our professional staff. They're leaving to Missouri, even Oklahoma, who are funding their mental health more adequately. So I felt like you needed to know that. We want to keep up with the demand, and it's very important to us to give you a great return on your investment. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
And I'm happy to introduce our partner, Mary Bolin, with Breakthrough House.
Have to
lower this just a slight bit. Mary Bowling, Executive Director of Breakthrough House. It's great to be here on behalf of our Board of Directors and Megan Mosley. Thank you for being here, Megan. And certainly want to recognize Bill. I'm telling you, Bill Persinger is amazing to this county, and he's doing great things. Valeo, we appreciate your partnership, especially your case management team, because they work closely with our 3 programs I'm about to tell you about real quick, and without them, we could not do what we do. So we thank you, and Kathy as well. So our 3 programs, we have a residential program, we have a payee program, and we have a Topeka clubhouse. So the residential program probably will be the most priority in our needs, because our housing, we currently have 8 buildings. We can house up to 41 residents at this time that struggle with mental health. Our buildings are old. In fact, I just had a 3-hour inspection on one. 1900, it was built in 1900s. So the cost of, as we talked about, inflation is just skyrocketing, cost of construction. We want to get these people off the street. They are wonderful people. They have mental health, and they need our support. We do not turn anyone away at Breakthrough House. And in our payee program, we provide, Social Security authorizes us to provide, checking, they have their checking accounts. We manage their checking accounts for them, make sure their bills are paid, make sure they have a place to live if possible. There are times that they still are homeless, and we're doing everything in our power. We have cross-utilized our programs so that if someone comes into the payee office, they need housing, we immediately get them with our housing director, get an application filled out. We do have a huge amount of people on our wait list. At our clubhouse, amazing program, outreach program, daytime program. So we have everything from job training and placement. Bill, you and I chatted about that and how we can get them maybe, to help in the community and get them, self-esteem built up, sustainable in society, right? So they can really feel empowered to live an independent life, sort of our mission. And so these are things that we're all trying to do together and really, breaking the stigma of them, and really giving them the power to be enriched, if you will. One of the things I really want to talk about, and I have to recognize, is the law enforcement in Shawnee County. I cannot thank them enough, the medical services team, everyone that works with us. I am so grateful, because CIT division, I know that Shawnee County Sheriff's Department is working closely with the city of Topeka. I think that's an incredible partnership, because there's just a lot going on, right? As we talked about the drug addiction in our community, doing everything to, help communicate, right? So I actually had met with Mayor and talked about some of the things and how we can kind of, share that vision of what we see, and our eyes are out there, because people come to us, even the ones struggling will come to us and say, I know this house over here is a drug house. And so now, let's communicate that to you guys, because maybe you're not out there, you can't see it on the streets. And so it's great that they're working with us, because they are vulnerable sometimes, and they need the training, they need the education to know, how do I deal with the situation when I'm approached to go sell a drug or to go do something that I know is wrong, but because they're emotional from a mental health standpoint, that they need our support. So they come to us and they talk to us. So if we can team up on that, we would love to. Okay, thank you. Safety and security, of course, is imperative, and working with, I know it's sensitive, but shooter training, prevention, how do we do an evacuation in our buildings if there's an active shooter? I know it's a sensitive subject right now, but what just happened in Illinois, I think is something we all have to address in the community. So as much as we can team up on that, help with the training that we need to help sort of make sure those things are not happening, right? So I'll close with really just thanking everyone, and of course the needs. 1 in 5 people in the country are suffering with mental health illness. So it's, as you all know, it's a major problem out there. COVID, of course, and now we have inflation, cost of goods going up, food, gas, clothing. So the more we can get your support financially, we greatly appreciate. And I can tell you, every dollar matters. Every single dollar we need, or we discussed that, right, Bill and Kathy, and we do need every one of these dollars that we're asking for, and we really beg for you to consider that, because I can tell you our finance director has been with Breakthrough House for almost 15 years. She manages every single dollar to the T. We take it very seriously. We use every dollar to the good. So I thank you for your time today. All right.
Thank you.
I have to tell you that both Mary and Kathy are the kind of people that get out there right where the people are and, find out what's going on. And I know that Mary's emphasis has really been connecting with the people who are out there on the street and who are needy. And I know Kathy's background in school mental health and delivering services to places that are hard to get to in rural counties. Just a couple of outstanding partners here with us. And my job now is to let you know that our time is yours. We will stand for questions. If you want folks to approach the podium, they can do that, or they could just stand in place and answer questions as they come up. And I'm going to sit down now and get out of the way, but Chair, we're yours.
Don't sit down just quite yet.
Yes, sir.
So could you kind of, I know this only has Shawnee County's funding sources and
Right.
funding for you guys. And so I'm curious if you could kind of give us a breakdown, percentage wise of where your other funding sources come from and how much, just to give us an idea.
I can talk about Valeo real quickly. Probably half, about 40% of our revenue budget is Medicaid. And then some small percent will be private health insurance, because we basically serve people who are uninsured and poor. And then the rest would be city funding, a lot of that state aid to mental health centers, some federal block grant funding, some donations, but most of it, Commissioner, is Medicaid. I could
I could just say that 80% of our revenue is fee-for-service collected directly from insurance or the child, so it's only the 20% safety net, it's the underinsured and uninsured for family service and guidance, and that the safety net for those underinsured and uninsured is a combination of county and state dollars, and the state has increased some recently. Again, it's still not covering, and so that's why we decided it was time to ask the county to also increase as well.
Okay.
So we do work closely with Commissioner Brown at KDADS, and he has been very supportive and working with us on the mental health block grant, so we get some percentages there. And we also get the lottery money for our clubhouse. So that comes through the Wichita clubhouse. So we have 4 clubhouses in the state of Kansas, and we manage the one here in Topeka. But they kind of collectively divide that out between the 4.
Okay.
So,
Great.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman. Bill, question for you at the podium. Probably best to go to the podium just so we get, since we're live streaming. $750,000 increase request, noted 136 vacancies, trying to get towards your full occupancy. Of the 136, how many break out between Breakthrough House, Family Service and Guidance, Valeo? Where's those percentages?
At the time we wrote this, Valeo had 67 openings, most of those in our 24-hour staff that work at our residential facilities, detox, crisis care, but I think over 30 were related to crisis and that kind of care, 67. And then, I know one time you had 10.
We're about 8 right now. We need more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just to get us up to where we usually are. Yeah, good point, Mary, thank you. And then, Kathy, currently?
We had 70 vacancies based on our current salary range. We had no choice but to continue to serve, keep our doors open. We had to increase our wages up to 20% higher than they were just to retain staff this year.
But of those, and that was going to be my next question, which is, out of the 3 entities, Family Service and Guidance has the best chance of receiving payment due to the children being on either their parents' insurance or the state insurance. as opposed to Family Service and Guidance, who are a Valeo or Breakthrough House that don't have a chance of recovery. They're working off Medicaid dollars or state dollars. So even with insurance coverage, you still had the highest amount of open positions.
So you're right that more uninsureds are adults, and that's why our formula for the way the money is dispersed goes primarily to Valeo, and a lesser amount gets passed on to Family Service and Guidance. But the other issue is that the underinsured. So the underinsured has gotten worse because the funding has not been increased in over almost 2 decades. And so the Medicaid funding is not covering the costs of psychiatrists, of our community-based services, the ones that are proven to keep kids in their homes and keep kids successful, graduating school and out of the hospitals and ERs.
So you made a comment about the funding level, and I do want to let you know, because I was a commissioner that was here when that cut was made. And that cut was made in 2013 and for the 2014 budget. And the reason was, we had put ourselves into a financial spot that we had to do a course correction. We raised the mill levy, we cut people's budgets, the health department had to let people go. It was a bad time to be in government, period. And of that, we took from 2014 back to 2021 to get us back to where we were at. And I will let you know, I voted against the budget because of the cuts to mental health. But it took us that long to get back there. And a lot of that was due to not wanting to raise the mill levy, not wanting to, again, it's a tenuous task to balance out the needs and the abilities. And so I do want to let you know why, because I was here when that was done. So
I so appreciate that, and again, my heart soars because I know that you see the value of mental health and how it does save money in other budget areas. So thank you so much for that work.
And then, it was not an easy thing. I might also note that there's been some discussions about when the opioid settlement finally arrives to Shawnee County, being able to look at allocating that towards mental health services, but that's still at some point in the future. But
That's exciting, thank you.
Can I approach with a follow-up?
Yeah, please.
So, in terms of the amount of county funding that goes to mental health across the state, we did some calculations. It looks like now, of course, counties draw from various places for some, ad valorem and others but the statewide per capita for all the 26 mental health centers, all 105 counties, is $13.45 per capita. This was in fiscal 22. So I'm thinking parts of 20 and 21 would be where this data is from, or parts of 21, 22. The average county, let's see, average county per capita. The Valeo average, the county average looks like it's about $11.18. Am I saying that right, Kathy? It looks like $11.18. So part of our, go ahead, please.
Per capita helps it become apples to apples when you look across counties. So that's why we look at per capita. And the average that a community mental health center receives from its county is at 13, what you said, and the county's at 11, our county's at 11.
Right. And so part of the issue here in Shawnee County is just the competition for staff, licensed or unlicensed. And we too have had to hike our salaries, and it's just started to eat away at what cushion we do have, and without any prospect of hardly ever making a profit. Even 2 or 3% margin is almost unheard of in our business, and we've not seen that for a while. It's difficult to keep up, and we have had to raise. A therapist a couple 3 years ago, or a couple of years ago, starting out at $45,000. It's close to 60 or more now. It's just and yet revenue hasn't. It's pretty well been fixed for Medicaid rates. Kathy refers to those have been fixed since 2004, and so just wanted to, but kind of where we're at in terms of trying to keep up budget wise, and we just asking only well, we could always use more. The kinds of funding that have been rolling in lately is for specific projects. The government will come along and say, well, here's $1, go spend $1 on a new program, and that's good. We always do that because part of our mission. All three of us do that. But the dollars the county, as you know, provides can be used in a lot of places. We can actually use them just to shore up our operating costs and pay for current expenses. And that's where we're having, at least at Valeo, trouble keeping up. I think my partners are having the same. So that gives you, it's great to see the opioid money maybe roll in someday, or, maybe there's, other things. But, those kind of dollar for dollar programs are good for the public, good for the mission, good for the heart, but they don't pay the bills for the people that have been towing the mark for 25, 30, 40 years working at our agencies. So, yeah, please.
Health insurance is another one we haven't talked about. Health insurance is skyrocketing, and, we take good care of our staff. You got to keep them, right? You got to keep talented people. So you have to be able to offer those services. And then, software, as far as operational, we're on Microsoft Exchange. We need to upgrade to the 365. The IT costs are outrageous. And in order to run, especially our payee program, to be able to manage everything well, and, we appreciate the support.
Any questions? Kathy, I have a question. If I have a crusade in public health, it's this youth suicide. And I see with your school-based mental health program, do you address suicide as well? I know in the school, when they were doing your assessments, they have attendance, behavior, academic improvements. Have you seen any improvement with suicides through this program, preventing that?
Yes, the suicide data that comes takes a long process to scrub, and so it's always further behind. So I think the newest stats are from 2019, so pre-COVID, and a lot's happened since COVID. And so it takes time for that data to get scrubbed to then get published. But we do look at, like, the Department of Education even produces some of that too. But, autopsies and things like that, there's a big process to determine a death as a suicide. I would like to share a story that I think will get to your point, though. One of the principals I can share talked about, since mental health has become on-site in the schools and there's an on-site therapist, they said that now all of a sudden, like, stigma's gone. Like, the kids, it happened with the kids first. He would hear in the hallways that kids would say, "Hey, you ought to go talk to Miss Jenny. She can really help you." And that just banter and willingness to talk about it. And when the kids started doing that, then the teachers started relaxing and being willing to address that in IEP meetings and in case conferences and things like that. And then the principal said, "I had no idea how it would affect me. I mean, I knew you guys were in here working, but because you're here, I think about mental health now, more than I used to." And he said that he went into a bathroom one time and found a kid on the floor. And he normally would have said, "Hey, dude, get to class, you're late." And in this case, he got down on the floor with him and said, "Something must be going on." And this kid was not on our radar, had not been referred by the school to us to provide services. And this kid relayed that he wanted to die, and he had a plan, and he was going to leave school and go suicide. And the principal was able to hook him immediately up with us, and we got him, and this child needed to go to the hospital. So, but we got that hooked up. It was an amazing story. So the dollars that get spent on that are not only helping us with our staff, but you are getting the benefit of educating the entire community that all those personnel at school are much more aware and handling things better. And the sooner we can identify something and get help, the less resources it takes, the quicker they can recover because they're not so severe yet. All of that saves so many dollars, but it also helps these kids be more successful and more productive adults for us too in the future. Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, I believe that's all the time we have. I think the Extension Council is waiting in the hallway. So, appreciate it. Thank you guys all for coming. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then you can just use the arrows on the keyboard to advance.
Remember last year I got so nervous I came down anyway, like before everyone started?
That's okay. I do the same.
I'm slightly better.
I mean, oh,
You too?
you're welcome.
Man,
Oh, yeah, that's my bad.
thought I was doing better today.
You coughing still? Yeah.
Yeah, I've had this thing going on in my throat for about 3 or 4 days. I'm just tired. Well, I don't know if it's allergies or what.
That's how that goes.
Mine's either allergies or a cold, one of the two. I did make sure.
That's good, because it's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, numbers are up right now.
Yeah.
Seems like, quite a few people that have happened just in the last couple of weeks. All right.
Did everyone get a stretch break?
Oh,
Stand up?
if you want, we can do that. but-
Nah, we're already like 4 minutes late, so.
Yeah, okay, let's get going then.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Candace Mearpool, Director of the Shawnee County Extension Office. This morning, I have a brief presentation for you, and then our Board Chair, Angela Dake, will have a few words, and then I'm happy to take any questions that you might have over the packet that we submitted last month. I always like to begin with the purpose of our office. In 1914, the Smith-Lever Act established the cooperative extension services in all land-grant universities. K-State was one of the first land-grant universities in the nation and is the primary one for Kansas. And we have the same purpose today as we did in 1914, which is to provide research-based education to improve the lives of every resident. We are connected to a national network of extension resources. So if there's a piece of research out there that another state is doing that can benefit Kansas, we can go ahead and use that. And vice versa, if we have something that a neighbor needs, they can use our resources as well. And we do all of that to directly benefit the residents of Shawnee County. So we could not achieve our purpose without our team. And as everyone in 2022 knows, good help is hard to find. Good news, we found them. Now we just have to keep them, which is the primary goal. I'm going to start left to right and introduce the team. And if you're in the room, please give a little wave. Susan Fangman is our Family and Consumer Sciences agent. Carolyn Seals is our part-time horticulture program assistant. Leroy Russell, our agriculture and natural resources agent. Grace Weens, our 4-H youth development agent. Casey Beck is our agriculture and horticulture office professional. Then I'm going to go back down to the left. Joanne Domi is our FCS office professional and office bookkeeper. Catherine Miller is our full-time horticulture program assistant. Haley Kelly is our full-time 4-H program assistant. Lisa Martin is our expanded food and nutrition agent. I cover community vitality. And then on the end, we have Lisa's staff. Brenda Jarbo is a SNAP Ed educator. Peggy Bailey is an FNEP nutrition educator. And Margarita Munoz is an FNEP nutrition educator. Only one not pictured on our Brady Bunch slide is our new part-time 4-H office professional, Lisa Satterthwaite. Also, I would be remiss without introducing our board members present today. Angela Dake, our board chair. Barbara Coltis, our board secretary. Dave Bartles, board member. Linda Croucher, our board treasurer. And Laura Moore, our board vice chair. So that's the pizzazz slide. Shouldn't have been the second one, it should have been the last one, huh? Okay, we'll figure out where to put the pizzazz in. So now that you know our purpose and our team, I always, and this is review for everybody in this room, but I do know these hearings are being streamed, and so I want to make sure people are aware of the focus of our office, which was created in conjunction years ago with the Kansas Association of Counties. So this is K-State-wide, all extension offices work within these grand challenges: water, global food systems, health, developing tomorrow's leaders, and community vitality. And like I said, for the people watching at home, we are happy to get those calls that they just need the extension for another county department. We always look it up for them and give it to them. But this is what we're focusing on in the work that we're actually doing. So in those areas, from last budget hearing, July 2021 to June 2022, and some of these contacts from our most recent quarter are still coming in, we had 11,620 direct educational contacts. That doesn't include all the people that we're touching through our website, through our brochures, through social media. Those are the people that we served, we got a name, and then if they wanted to give us their demographics, they always have the option to opt out of that. This is the demographics of the people that we're serving. We're very happy that this year we were in parity with the demographics of Shawnee County, meaning we want to serve the same makeup of the county. We want our office to serve that makeup as well, and we strive really hard to do that. Not on this slide that I should have got on there is 19.6% of our contacts reported their ethnicity as Hispanic, which according to the 2021 census of Shawnee County, that is also pretty much in parity with the ethnicity of our county. Okay, so now we've done purpose, team, and impact. We're going to get to our funding request. So last year I got to do a big ta-da, we don't need any more money, and it was fun and exciting. Not going to be the case this year. We are asking for increase on some of our budget line items, rent and utilities. The majority of the facilities we use is the Stormont Vail Event Center. Their costs have gone up, so they have to make their rent higher. So that comes back to us for all the times we use their facility. That's not the only facility we use around Shawnee County, and the rent at all those places is also going up. Travel and subsistence, this is actually my only typo on the slide. We have asked for $2,500 more on travel and $1,000 on subsistence, so the total for those two is $3,500. And I want to be super clear that the travel is in county the majority. It's putting fuel in our county vehicles to get to our constituents, to do our programs. You know, that's not a lavish travel budget. Salaries and wages. When you're in the business of education, your biggest expense is people. And in fact, I think a lot of the county departments are probably the same way. To stay competitive and give our employees a raise, we are asking for $6,000 on our salaries and wages line. Employee benefits, $1,632. There was a CAPERS moratorium of 1% that fell off starting this month, July. And then the health insurance is a little bit different. It's harder to calculate across the board because like a traditional Plan A co-pay insurance, that went up 6%. But our Plan C health savings account insurance plan didn't go up at all. That plan is also cheaper for the employee, so most of our office is on that Plan C. We do have employees on the Plan A, and they all have the option to pick any insurance plan they would like. So that, if we can get that increase, we should still be covered for our employee benefits. And then our telephone bill went up, and we do use our phone a lot, so that would be nice to cover. So the total increase we're needing to provide the same level of service that we have been providing this year is $13,232. So this is my ta-da moment. Like, I can't leave this slide without a ta-da. The total we're asking from the commissioners for our appropriation is $8,352, and I'll explain that on my next slide. So our formal request is for a 1.4% increase from our 2022 appropriation. And I also would like to mention that we have not asked for an increase since 2019. So 2020, 2021, and 2022, we have been working on a flat budget. It worked for us. We don't come and ask for money unless we need it. And so we hope you see the sincerity in that when we do ask for an increase. Over the last 3 years, to make that possible, every time a service contract comes up, our extension board shops it. We go out, we try to find something that's not going up or is a better deal. In the last 4 years, we've changed our external audit company, our insurance, and our banking services to make sure that we're staying within those budget line items, even in years where we haven't gotten increased funds. And then K-State is increasing their contribution to our salary line item by $5,000. So that $6,000 increase, we are only needing $1,000 on our appropriation to make that happen. K-State has pitched in on that line for us. We want to be a good fiscal partner, and so we look in all the couch cushions before we come to you all. Funding is a partnership. I always like to include this slide. This is our actual 2022 funding, and as you can see, our county appropriation, it looks 50%, but I actually think it's like 51 something on our county appropriation side. The KSU in-kind, that light blue, that is, we use HR services, legal. IT is probably the biggest one. I call them once a week because I've disconnected from something and they get it fixed for me. And then also, we have regional specialists that will come to our county to do programs and provide education at no cost. That's included in that KSU in-kind part of our budget. The KSU salary and benefits, that is a portion of the agent's salary and benefits. The county appropriation does pay the majority of that salary, and then all of the extension council employees, the appropriation pays their salary and benefits. The local in-kind is our community partners who want to support a program and want to make sure that that certain thing is happening. So that's a lot of Master Gardener donations, donations to the 4-H program. The volunteer income tax assistance gets grants for that line item. So that is from our community in-kind. And then the FNEP and SNAP-Ed program, which Lisa manages, is federally funded. So I like to think of them as like our coupon code that we enter, and those 4 people are taken off the bill, but Shawnee County gets all the services from that education and from those programs. So those are federal dollars that come to Shawnee County. And I finally figured out last night what the little orange piece was supposed to be. It wasn't going to be a part of the pie. But we had over 8,000 hours of volunteer service directed by Extension Council employees, all service to Shawnee County. So Extension Master Gardeners, 4-H, agriculture, the volunteer income tax assistance, all those volunteers gave over 8,000 hours, which is valued at $252,579 for their time. And really, that's like 4 full-time employee equivalents that are volunteer hours, people that believe in our programs and our purpose coming to support that. And so I want to thank the commission for your support. I'm coming up on 11 years in the Extension office, and I'm always happy to do our quarterly reports, do our program reports. I know you all know the work that we're doing, and I will continue to come. I think I'm on the agenda for Monday to do the next quarterly report. So we'll get into more program there in those reports, but we couldn't do it without the commissioner's support. So I'm going to invite Angela Dake to come up and say a few words on behalf of our Extension Board.
Hey, good morning. I'm Angela Dake, and I'm the chair of the Extension Board. And I just wanted to take a minute to give you the perspective and a little bit of the work that we have done as the Budget Committee. And, you know, I want to say that we're really, really proud of the work that the Extension Office does, and feel really proud that our eyes are on the taxpayers and how our budgets affect the taxpayer, and I personally, as a taxpayer, appreciate that very much. The finances of this office are incredibly efficient. This budget committee went through the expenses line by line, looking for any possible savings that we could do so that we could keep our increases to a minimum. In the past 3 years, We did a change of insurance companies to save on premiums. We did a bank change in order to save on service fees. And we found a better priced quality audit company to do the audits. And so those are some examples of the ways that we have found the best possible prices to make sure that our dollar value is being met. I believe that you can be confident that the increase that we are asking for is not inflated, and it really is what the Extension Office needs to maintain their high level of service and the education that they provide to the community. So, thank you.
And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Real quick, so if you could go back to your pie chart,
Which one? I had two.
the one with the funding sources.
Okay.
So on here, it says that KSU salary and benefits is $129. But on your 2023 budget that was here, it's got it at 76 approximately. And so I'm just curious, what's am I missing something?
Yeah, we don't get charged for the benefits part. So it doesn't flow through our budget. They just take those off. And then we actually every month get billed for the part of the wages that K-State does that is not in that 79,000. And so we write a check for that part of the wages, but we don't get charged for the benefits.
Okay, that makes sense then. I just looked at it and was like, it's not the same. So, okay, appreciate that. Any other questions?
No, thank you, Candace, very much.
All right.
And everybody else.
Yep, great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now you have plenty of time for a stretch break.
Yep.
But a
We might
Japanese
need-
beetle question.
Oh, boy.
Oh, goodness. Master Gardener, Linda. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that.
They are here,
we
and
got
they are
them.
here in force. I made the mistake of putting one of those little bags to collect.
Oh, they attract.
It attracts them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Call our Master Gardener response line because I think putting them into soapy water one by one is the best way to get rid of them.
There you go.
Yeah, just get a little jar, a little dish of water with some soap, and then just flip them into that, they die.
Yeah, the big garden box stores are selling the traps, and it just brings all your neighbors to you.
I think most all of them in town are at my place right now.
Just don't dig. You don't want to find any Asian jumping worms.
Okay.
Oh, man. Who knew?
They're bad this year.
Okay.
All right, thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Monday.
I put two of those little bags out, and they have little pellets on there with a scent on there, kind of
Yeah.
like a flowers. It attracts them. They come in from miles, I think, and then they fall in this bag and they can't get out. Those bags were full. Each of them probably weighed a pound of the dead beetles in there. And then I got to reading about it, and it said don't put them by your house because it just attracts them. Okay,
Well, you did your part.
I
That's
tried,
right.
but.
You and your neighbors.
But they said, put it if you have a big yard, said put it far away from your house.
Yeah, city, I think up there's this year, but. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with the Fair Association.
Okay.
Welcome.
So I'll go ahead, I'll introduce myself. I'm Larry Weiner. I'm the president of the Shawnee County Fair Board. We do have a couple other members here, Mary Beth Showalter and Sherry Scheidemann. They are our treasurers. We did co-treasurers this year to try to get all of our ducks in a row there. Not able to make it today are Vice President Alan Stahl and Secretaries Gail Bayless. Members that are here, Ashley Mingarelli. Also members of our board are Alan Cook, Greg Wilcox, Jessica Albert, Matt, I can't pronounce his name right, Angiano, Melissa Tillery, Philip Sanders, Chantel Wallace, Tom McNorton, and Rodney Blythe. We do now have a full board on the Fair Board members. Again, we've grown to the capacity of the 15 members, and we have many volunteers. This year we purchased new fair entry software. It saves a tremendous amount of time of labor and interacts with the Kansas State Fair entry software. So as the kids enter their stuff in the county fair, that can also be transferred over to the state as well. The newly remodeled Stormont Vail Event Center, it's going to allow us to have more events in one area, plus they have buildings that will allow us to expand as needed. We have developed a new logo on a website, as well as increasing our focus on building our social media audience and reach, and I think everybody would agree we've had a lot of shares on our Facebook page now, a lot of interest in some of the stuff we're doing. Again, we're refocusing on events and community involvement in the fair and improving the relationships that haven't been the best with the Stormont Vail Event Center, and I will say they've been great to work with so far. Again, there's our new logo.
We haven't pulled the event off yet. So
Ask me in a month.
We would like a report back. That'd be it.
Here is our new logo. Again, we got Shawnee County with the capital in the middle of it. And again, just our new logo for it. And again, the stuff we posted out there, we've got our 4-H horse show will be July 16th and 17th, and all the other exhibits will be July 21st through the 24th. Our goals are we want to continue to grow the fair board and volunteers, which, yeah, we've been very lucky with the amount of interest of volunteers this year to help grow this fair. Hopefully, the Shawnee County Fair 2022 is going to be back better than it was in 2019 before the whole COVID has hit. Again, we want to increase collaboration with organizations in Shawnee County. We want to continue to grow the fair attendance. And again, continue on positive working relationship with 4-H and Stormont Vail Event Center. Increase in open class entries. Again, try to involve more people from the county that aren't just 4-H members, but just the general public. Increase the community awareness of the fair by social media, paid marketing, and community relationships, and continue to offer events that community members are excited to attend. Again, we want to fully utilize the newly remodeled Stormont Vail Event Center. Our budget request, again, I'm not going to read all those, but projected for 2022 is the $43,832. We've asked for a upgrade of $45,000, which I think we all know what prices are doing out there. We put this in possible additional space, Heritage Hall and Ag Hall. From the folks that are working on the lineup of what we have in the event center, we think we've got it full. We'll find out when everybody does make it into the fair. But again, we wanted to, in case we do need to expand for additional square footage in the future, we wanted to make sure we had that in there. Loman United Methodist Church, that's where they judge all the clothing, correct? Yes, that's where all the clothing is judged, so we pay them for the use of their building. Again, the fair software was $1,250, and again, the $1,500 would be for continuing with the upgrades on the software. Fair insurance, we actually had our, do the diligent work of some folks, we got our insurance rates down a little bit from what they have been in the past. But again, we allowed for a marginal increase there for next year. Fair book expenses, we only asked for $8 more. Judges' payments, of course, with the price of mileage of what we need to pay for our judges to come in, that's going to take it up as well in future years. Open class prize money, again, we're trying to cover most of that with sponsors, but again, looking for that. Fair premiums, ribbons, fair secretary. Concert expense, we have a free concert to the community, and we've had some pretty good response to that, to the band we have coming in on Friday night. Family fun night, again, we do that. We make a donation to the 4-H group, and they do that for the sponsors of the fair, the 4-H classes, in addition to the families that are there. They have a night where they have food and games for those folks. Again, the fair expenses, marketing and branding. Spent more this year. Again, we developed a new website, the logo, so that cost a little more next year. It's just continuing on with it. Current subscription is the same, and then our treasurer bonding. So total projected expenses for this year, $74,866. Looking at $94,500 for next year. What we're requesting is $80,000. Again, the entire commission is, and all of Shawnee County is invited. Again, our horse show will be July 16th through 17th. The 4-H horse show will be in Domer Arena, then July 21st through the 24th. All our other exhibits, the livestock entries, the clothing, welding, all of those projects will be in Stormont Vail Events Center and the Domer Arena for the livestock. One thing we're having this year, we are having food trucks come on Thursday, and that's been really popular. We've been getting a lot of positive response on that. Again, we'd like to thank Commissioner Cook for coming to the opening ceremonies and judging of the commissioner's bread basket. And just a reminder for you guys, he's supposed to bring that back with him. So I let the cat out of the bag.
All right.
We will be having on Friday is the watermelon feed and the trainer band. Again, that's open to the public, trying to get them out and walk through the exhibits, see what we have. Then on Saturdays, the pancake feed, a touch a vehicle, and then the livestock sale Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we've added a car show. Again, just trying to drawing more of the community to it to come and attend the fair. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions?
Looks great, guys.
Yeah, I really like the new logo. It's nice.
Do you guys?
We have something.
So I'm Cooper Mangarelli, and we're both members of the Indian Creek 4-H Club. We're one of the clubs that's hosting the pancake feed this year. The pancake feed is the only fundraiser for the events council this year. So the events council is in charge of essentially setting up most of the programs for 4-Hers to do, and we would like you guys to have 2 pancake feed tickets.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can you guys stand up there with them and get a picture of you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
here, we'll come around.
Yeah, come around. Yeah, get out of the way. So.
Come on, Jennifer.
No, come around this way. You guys go that way.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a nice day. Hope to see you guys.
And I'll share flyers for the fair.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
Thanks.
Now, I know that Commissioner Rippon couldn't come to the bread judging contest, but I know that if you needed a judge for the pickle eating contest.
Where are the pickles coming from this year with Perovski's closing?
They're actually coming from Herman's.
Okay.
And since we are purchasing them, we're not advertising coming from there. We're working on that. I'm gonna work on them to be a bigger sponsor.
Okay.
I think one of the things we ran into this year, since we are a lot of new members, is that we were a little behind in being able to find sponsors because funds were already allocated. So I was just telling them in the hallway, I'm like, well, I've got 3 groups for next year that are in. We just didn't get to them fast enough to be able to get them involved. Or as we're out in the community, we're like, oh, we need to have them be a part of our event next year. And as Larry said, at this point in time, our floor space is full and we still have people who are interested in being vendors, and we're trying to figure out how to work everybody in. And so it's a good problem. Like, we've already doubled our floor size, but we've filled our space, so we're still looking for how to get more people involved and expand next year.
And again, we're trying to include the public of Shawnee County to get them there, and we don't want it just to be the 4-H families that are coming to the county fair. We want all of Shawnee County to be there.
I definitely appreciate that.
That's great, guys.
I don't know much about pickles, but I can judge hogs.
All right, well, you may have another judge right there.
Well, I know more about pickles than I do hogs. All right, well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you guys for hearing us.
For your time.
We raised a lot of hogs.
I know you did. It sounds like you had, what you said, you had like 900 or something
There
like
was
that?
one year I was taking care of 900 hogs. I was by myself. That was it. That's all I got done. You just want them long, lean, and go all the way to the hot, not too much back fat, not too wasty around the jowl, which doesn't explain me at all.
Fourth.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. So what you have, every year we submit to you a budget and then a budget narrative or budget synopsis. What we are asking for this year is slightly higher than what we requested last year, mainly because we've requested about an additional $50,000 in capital outlay versus last year. So last year our capital request was $200,000. This year was $250,000. The operating allocation did increase by about $18,000. We have added some additional staffing positions. We added in a marketing and group sales coordinator. We've had to adjust some of our pay rates, mainly for our part-time employees, both part-time on payroll and outsourced through third-party staffing agencies, and then increased some of our positions to help make our hiring process a little bit easier, specifically in our partnerships department, which that position has been vacant for about 2.5 months now. We did extend an offer yesterday, actually, to a candidate that we hope to bring on board by mid-month this month. But that's kind of the gist of the requests that we're making today. We do find it fairly important, and thank you, Betty, for reminding me to put the capital outlay request into our budget request, but continuing to maintain a capital account for items that we need to make sure we maintain over the course of the next few years is something that's been of extreme importance. We have used the capital outlay over the past 4.5 years since we took over management of the facility. That was kind of a hybrid account through some cost savings from the prior contract negotiation term and some additional excess funds that were left over from that. And we haven't run that dry yet, but this year we're coming towards the end of that capital outlay account. We have a little less than $100,000 left in that account at the current moment. So being able to replenish that to make sure we have enough capital funds to take care of any issues that could arise and make sure we're maintaining those spaces. We do have that operator account for the repair and resealing and striping of the parking lots. So we're probably going to look at doing that in '24. To reseal that lot. That'd be about 4 years, 3-4 years after that lot was finished, to reseal and restripe just to make sure it's maintained and staying in good shape. We do have pretty good success over the full depth replacement that was done in that parking lot. We haven't seen much fracturing in that parking lot since that renovation has been complete. And obviously, as you know, we've been working with Kurt over the past couple of months to get that mill and overlay project and some full depth replacement project on the back west side of Landon Arena in between Domer that runs up against the Shawnee County Extension Office. So that project is still underway. I think those bids came in a little higher than we were originally budgeting, so trying to go back out to bid on that and see if we can get that down a little bit. As we look at some of the items moving into 2023, 2022, I will be bluntly honest, has been an extremely challenging year on the booking front. A lot of the live entertainment content that is coming back online from late 2021 and into 2022 has been very competitive to get. We've submitted a significant number of offers that have either been passed on or declined. We've submitted some offers on some content that was confirmed and then got better offers and pulled the show and went somewhere else. So it's been a challenging time in 2022 to lock in and secure content. We do have some pretty exciting stuff coming up throughout the rest of the year, but that being said, we're still working on some bookings late in 2022. I will say 2023 booking front has moved along quite a bit better than it has mid-2022 and late 2022. We've got some holds out there for some pretty good content. We're working on, like I said, those 2 additional tenant teams, which would be a great piece of revenue business. And then also, obviously, we're extremely excited about the opportunity to potentially look at servicing the food and beverage at the facility as well. So a lot to look forward to in 2023, but I'm trying not to sugarcoat it. It's been a tough year to try and get the content secured, but rest assured we're still working to try and plug as many dates in 2022 as we possibly can. We just locked in WWE in October. We have a 3-week haunted house build that we just finished up in the arena. It's going to be about a 7,800 square foot haunted house that'll run for 3 weeks in October inside Exhibition Hall this year. Last year's haunted house was very successful in conjunction with the trunk or treat display that was produced in the parking lot and the haunted house inside Landon Arena tunnels. So building that out and moving that into Exhibition Hall is a pretty exciting opportunity and piece of business for us. So excited about the opportunities that are still out there for 2022. Obviously, we have Blizzard Bash coming back in November. A lot of our motorsports content's coming back in November with Arena Cross starting early November, moving into Blizzard Bash, and then our annual New Year's Eve Extreme Bull Riding with PRCA. So a lot of that content is coming back this year. Happy to answer any questions on the booking front or anything that you might have based on our budget requests or projections or any of that.
Any questions for Kellen on any of that?
Question about the radio tower upgrades. What does that?
Yeah.
What does that look
Yep.
like?
So I reached out to our company Halo 2 weeks ago. They are, and I remiss saying it on camera, but they are very close with 2 carriers to getting that system bought into by those 2 carriers. So that's an extremely good piece of revenue if that locks in. They have said all along that it would likely be Q4 of this year until a carrier actually gets signed on and that infrastructure is live and ready to go. But it is looking promising at the moment.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Kellen, when we were doing the renovations to the Stormont Vail Event Center, one of the things we looked at was, do we book towards equestrian events or do we book towards other events?
Yep.
And we took the mixed approach where it was not equestrian heavy.
Correct.
Hindsight's always 20/20. So looking back, what do our equestrian events look like? Are we just constantly booked for equestrian even with a same space that we already had?
Yeah, I mean, equestrian hasn't really changed much. We have added in a couple new pieces of equestrian business. This last weekend we did the National Cutting Horse Association, which if you watch the TV show Yellowstone, it's very similar to the show horses that they do on the TV show. Very good group to work with, great group. First time event that we've had them at the facility, and they'll be coming back. But looking hindsight 2020, I absolutely still think we're on the right path. The live entertainment side just has so much more financial upside, and then freeing up those additional booking dates in Landon Arena by expanding out Exhibition Hall has been key in our ability to do that. You know, when we're looking at adding additional tenants and things of that nature, a lot of those events that took up a lot of booking dates in Landon Arena take place from January through March. We definitely would not be able to sustain more than one tenant team probably without having that expansion in Exhibition Hall. So, yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing in 2022 and the competitive nature of the live entertainment space, I think will start to level itself back out down to normal. I've oftentimes tried to explain it as, you know, it's similar to trying to buy a house right now. You're overpaying for a lot of artists, to be 100% honest, and it makes it very challenging to be able to try and get those artists to confirm. We did submit a very large offer for a A-list comedian that would take place in September. Right now, that offer is looking pretty good. How good? I don't know. We are up against some competition in the marketplace with Kansas City dates, so you know, it's just trying to make the numbers work and not get overly aggressive to where we overextend ourselves. But that's, you know, also why we have that show fund, which our company, you know, provided money to and capital investment into to allow us to take a little bit more risk on some of those shows and hopefully not have to use it, but if we do, to help cover some of those downside losses. So we have been extremely aggressive as I'm comfortable with us going, but like I said, I think that will start to level itself out and I think it already has as we're looking into 2023. Cirque du Soleil came out of bankruptcy in 2021. Took, I think, 3 or 4 of their products out on the road in 2022. We were very hopeful that we were going to land one of those dates, but with so little touring content in Cirque du Soleil's portfolio out on the road, it was challenging to get a date, but 2023 looks fairly promising to try and lock one of those in. They're taking out, I think, 6 to 8 more products next year, so a total of 12 to, 10 to 12 products will be out on the road with Cirque du Soleil. So I think you're starting to see that landscape shift back to normal, especially as we look into next year.
Still needing those renovations done at the hotel in order to capture some of the big
Yeah, the hotel helps.
conventions.
Yeah, especially on the convention side, right? We did the National Cutting Horse Association, which, just last weekend, to go back, the reviews that we got, we send out client surveys for every event that we produce in our facilities across the board, whether it's equine or exhibition hall or the arena side. The feedback we got back was the facility was great, everything was great. Challenges with the hotel in terms of, accommodations and things like that. So I think once you start looking at building that hotel back up, a little more investment in that hotel and beautification and renovation there certainly makes getting that convention business quite a bit easier.
So, Kel, I have a question on on one of your CIP requests.
Yeah.
On the Ag Hall Foundation and HVAC repairs. It's got the replacement of the Ag Hall Foundation supports, but it also has installation of a new party platform in Landon Arena. The two seem kind of unrelated.
Yep. They are. We left the answering the question is a little challenging at the moment, but part of what we're hoping to do is use some of our company's investment to do that party platform. One, I wanted to leave it in the CIP request in case that was not possible, but that party platform in Landon Arena, if you recall back to when we did the renovations, that was also an add alternate item for that project. It was budgeted somewhere around $65,000 to $75,000 at the time. I have built in some inflation on that to about a $90,000 project, but that is a piece of business that, obviously from a premium seating standpoint and from a partnerships revenue standpoint, has a lot of potential. It would satisfy a lot of need and a lot of dead space that is currently unoccupied and unused. So leaving it in, I just wanted to leave it in somewhere. I didn't want to do a separate line item for it, so I just left it in Ag Hall.
Well, I'm not opposed to the platform. I think it'll probably create some additional revenues and whatnot. It just seems like the Ag Hall Foundation repair item is kind of an odd place for it. So I mean, it probably, in my opinion, would be better on its own.
Yeah.
The other thing was on the security cameras. So we've been working over the last couple of years to try and make all county buildings have the same system of security cameras. Have you worked with Mark Price and IT at all on trying to get tied in with that system?
We have not. One, because we don't have the capital outlay to support that project at the moment, and two, this was an extension of the renovation project itself. Again, the security camera system and the video monitoring system was a piece of the add alternate platform for that renovation project that didn't quite make it into the budget. So yes, I've talked to Jim about some of the upgrades that have been done here at the courthouse, and certainly would be 100% on board to utilize the same system. I think adding some redundancy and some additional sets of eyes on being able to have access to that system is certainly a benefit.
Yeah, and they're really good cameras, too.
Yeah.
So,
Very good.
Yeah, ours is, early 90s, right? So it's, we're very low res. Most of them are black and white. I think we have a few that are color out of them, but also we just don't have enough coverage. We don't have coverage in areas that we need coverage. What we experienced a couple years ago up in Ag Hall when the HVAC systems were stripped out of that building. We don't have coverage there. We didn't have coverage in some of the areas inside Landon Arena that we've needed to. We do have a pretty good amount of coverage across the concourse levels, but on those back service drive areas, the parking lot areas where we tend to see some issues, we don't have coverage in those areas. So,
does that ever play a factor in the booking of events?
No, typically not. It plays more of a factor, I think, in the patronage and their comfort level at the facility, right? The more cameras you see, the more comfortable you feel. Certainly, we've had our fair share, like everybody else in town, of parking lot stuff that takes place. You see it a lot at the major grocers and some of the shopping complexes around town. We're no exception to that. We have had some of those issues, and trying to make sure we are being as vigilant as we can to deter that. In fact, I think the TPD and the Sheriff's Office have upped their rounds on some of those locations around town, ours included, especially for after hours and nighttime times on making sure they're running through those parking lots just to try and deter that type of activity.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I do not.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
On your CIP item for utility vehicles,
Yes,
I assume that means to buy utility vehicles?
correct.
I know some other items like the skid steers and things you have rented.
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason you want to buy these?
No, we would not be opposed to doing a leasing option like we have with the skid steers or the forklifts. I think the main thing right now is what we're looking at doing is we have 3 service vehicles on site. Those service vehicles are quite old. Just trying to relieve the financial liability on those vehicles, which seem to have issues every couple of months, and getting those onto either Purple Wave or an auction site to help secure some funding for a down payment on a lease or purchase. We would be open to either option.
Out of the $250,000 requested for your building expenses, how much of that, your spillover, are you going to have between the CIP projects? Any? None?
The 250,000, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The 250,000 is really for owner expenses. Their repairs or something like that would not be considered under their management agreement, more owner repair type things.
Okay, well, I mean, for example, it's not for next year, but it's for 2024, was Landon Arena Exhibition Hall, or Landon, sorry, the 2027 HVAC for Heritage Hall, that'd be an owner.
Yeah, it would be, yes.
Or the one for Ag Hall would be HVAC repairs, that in the 2027, that's an owner.
Right.
Okay.
And generally, these have been smaller items that are just, those things that come up throughout the year. I don't know if you have examples.
Yeah.
Not the major HVAC and those type of items, more the smaller ones that come up.
Yeah, we've lost a air handler unit or two over the past 3 to 4 years. We lost a compressor this past year. Those aren't extremely expensive items, but they do range and vary between $10,000 to $15,000 on average, right? And when we only have, I think 78 or 86, I can't recall off the top of my head exactly how much is left in our current capital fund, but a few of those repairs in one season, and we're pretty much depleted. One item we are looking at is the either renovation or acquisition of a new court playing surface, basketball and volleyball court surface. That has been one hindrance in our ability to retain some content. And I'm mainly speaking of Acacia activities. That court is old. It has seen a lot of use, and it's seen a lot of movement and relocation in the facility, and with that time, comes some challenges on getting that surface to line up perfectly and play well on. So we have started the conversations with a couple sports flooring specialists, both Connor Sports and another couple companies around the country to give us some bids on what it might look like to resurface that flooring system, bring up some of the gap areas, replace some of the boards, replace some of the pin connection areas, and then fully sand it down and
So is that what you want to be able to use some of the $250,000 for?
We might look at that. I think the only way we would look at that out of the capital funding is if we had a contract to support the revenues to come in by doing that. Right now we have Harlem Globetrotters that plays on the surface, and there's really not any issues with that space, but we are looking at, and we have added in those additional locker rooms to go out and chase some NCAA, NAIA, JUCO events, regional tournaments, things like that. So I think once we start looking at securing some of that type of content and or bringing Acacia back into the building, that that surface is going to need attention.
Okay.
Sure. I would also mention that whatever is budgeted for that will be transferred into their capital outlay fund. So if that is not used in 1 year, then that carries over to the next year and could build up to where, if those monies are not needed, it could build up to use towards something like a more major item.
Okay.
So Kellen, I know over the last few years, it really seems like you guys have sort of started with more of the house-produced content, wing fling, and a couple of others that are sort of done by your group. Are you finding that's more successful from a financial standpoint than bringing in a big act, or?
No, I think I wouldn't say it's more successful. I think we try and do as much content as we possibly can. So having those self-produced in-house events allow us to be a little more flexible on the booking dates, right? We're still going to chase as many of those large acts as we possibly can, or any live ticketed entertainment event that we possibly can. But bringing in these pieces of content, those self-produced events, if you will, allow us to fill some dates. Allows us to maintain relevancy and keep hosting events when we might not have a large-scale concert that weekend or for a couple weeks there. We have seen some good financial success on those events. Wing Fling more than doubled the revenues this past year as compared to the year prior, which was 19 that we produced that event. So 21 did very well. We have that coming back in December again this year. The Haunted House did revenues that far exceeded our expectations or what we thought were going to happen, which is what led to developing that platform and program out with a longer term on a 3-week time period as opposed to a 2-day time period. The KCBS barbecue event, the Red, White, and Blue Barbecue Festival, did fantastic from the competition side. I think we still got a lot of work to do on the patronage and the performance side to really grow and develop that event. But with a first-year event, it was successful. I wouldn't say it was extremely financially successful, but just maintaining those self-produced events allows us to stay relevant and find open dates that we can produce that type of content.
Well, hopefully, you have better weather for the Red, White, and Blue.
That would be helpful.
I think that played a big factor.
It did. That was, since we've taken over management, that was the first time we've had to put our emergency command in place, where we had to shelter individuals during a tornado warning. So team did great. I expressed that out to Jim and let him know, and I think I expressed that to you as well on the night of, here's our plan in place and we're ready to go. We hope we don't have to use it, and we had to use it, so it worked well. But events, especially on an outdoor event, is very subject to our lovely Kansas weather.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
All right, great. Well, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
All right, go ahead.
We
Let's
good?
go ahead, Tim.
All right, good morning, Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department. Our mission and vision up here, I think we're just entering our second year with this new mission and vision, and we really are trying to live it. So trying to use this when we make hiring and other types of decisions within the department. So thought I'd start off with a little bit of just department challenges. Before I jump into that, I think I want to thank Betty and Jennifer and Andrea Forbes because, we've had a lot of turnover lately. And as we were preparing for this today and noticed that some things didn't look quite right, Andrea specifically has been very, very helpful, helping us get where we are here today. So appreciate that. Some of these challenges are the same, deferred maintenance. We talk about that. I know that's been a hot topic ever since I got here. I kind of want to change the narrative a little bit. I think we've talked so much about parks and playgrounds when we talk about deferred maintenance. And I think not that we've solved the problem, but I think we've made a lot of headway there. I think we need to start talking a little bit more about some other areas, aquatic facilities, community centers, our shelters, and our maintenance shops. Those areas need a lot of love too, and I think we need to, I'd like to see us start shifting more towards, we're not gonna forget about parks, don't get me wrong, we know how important that is, but I think we've gotta make some improvements in those areas as well. Staffing, I'm not gonna run through I'm gonna run through a few of these positions just because they're really important and what we're facing right now. Our aquatics manager, our park maintenance lead worker for aquatics, our park maintenance tech for aquatics are all vacant, and they have been for some time. We've never had anybody in the aquatics manager position. That's a new position that we haven't been able to fill. So all of those got bumped up as part of the wage study, which just went into effect. So I hope that we'll see some movement there. But as it stands today, I really have one full-time person working in aquatics, and this is his first year. And so we are, there's a lot of teamwork going on right now, a lot of people from other divisions coming together to make these aquatic facilities run. But I've really before we go into next year, we've got to do everything we can to get those positions filled. And then you see lifeguard and other seasonal positions. I think lifeguards, we were able to raise that wage this year. I think we probably want to continue to look at doing maybe another bump. I know nationally, according to the NRPA, nationally wages for lifeguards are about $15 an hour right now. We're at 10 now. Granted, that's up $2 from 8, so we're heading the right direction. But I think that's something we're gonna have to keep in mind. And then our fleet shop relocation, we talk about that a lot. I want to add really our grounds maintenance shop, our natural area shop, our shops, with the exception of golf, are all in pretty bad shape. So at some point, and I'll talk a little bit about this in my CIP presentation, we want to start making some improvements in our shops and the resources that we're giving our staff. So now into the budget. Here's really the notable increases for 2023. Personnel costs account for about 3% of it. Contractual services, they went up 3%. Personnel costs, contractual services went up 8%. Fuel costs, 49%. Utilities, 22%. So our total budget increase for this year is about 4%. And just under $700,000. You can see personnel and contractual services account for the bulk of that. I think I've been watching some of the budget hearings, and I think that's pretty consistent with what you're hearing from other department heads. So that's really where we are. I think as far as, even personnel costs going up, I think we've managed to eliminate some positions and make a few changes. So I think we've offset some of what would have been an increase, but those are still going up. So do you have any questions about any of that before I move on? I kept it pretty short and sweet on the budget, but.
Okay.
I do have a question. One of the things we've asked other departments is to look at the vacant positions they have, and if those are reasonable, if it's a reasonable expectation that those will be filled.
Yeah.
So when you look at your vacant positions, are those all positions that you expect to be able to fill?
Well, first let me say that we had some vacant positions that we got rid of here just recently, last week, by combining positions to create new positions. And so those are gone. The ones that remain are positions we would like to fill. But if I go back to that other slide, you know, I've got a lot of park maintenance worker positions, golf and a couple other locations that I just haven't been able to fill. But again, those are ones that were affected by the wage study, that got pretty big bump. So I hope to see some change there. The aquatics positions are the ones that I'm most worried about. And when you say, do I expect to be able to fill them? I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to fill them. I think it seems kind of a little counterintuitive, but I think I might need to either change those positions to a higher level, or actually open another one. I think one of the reasons why I can't fill those positions is that there's a lot of weekend work, and they don't want to do that. And people don't want to do that. They don't want to work 7 days a week during the summer, and I don't blame them. And so we might need to have one more position where we can actually rotate a little bit more. I don't know what the answer is. Those are the ones I'm concerned about being able to fill, is just those aquatic positions. But the rest I would expect for us to fill, yes. I hope that answered the question. Any other budget?
So the fuel costs, obviously, gas prices and diesel prices are way up. Have we changed the way we're using our fleet at all?
We have tried. It's hard to break old habits, but we did increase our contractual services, so that's taken some of that off. We're not actually the ones out there driving and doing it. But I have asked Brent, and I think if anybody can figure this out, it's Brent Holsetter, our fleet manager, to try to help us find ways to cut costs. As you know, or may not know, you know, we're both driving these, they're not Priuses, they're little Hyundai Ioniqs, and they get about 46 miles to the gallon. So for positions in our department that we don't think need trucks but need a vehicle, we've gone to those, and that I can't take credit for that. They did that many years ago, and that was a smart, I'm imagining probably a Brent decision and a smart one. So we're trying to do what we can. New train, if we can get it ordered, would be electric. You know, I don't know how much that's really going to save us, but we try to make smart decisions. I think we can do better, though, moving forward.
Okay.
Commissioner, I know we'll talk about this in just a little bit with our projects.
Yeah.
But looking at how the costs are shifting, sponsorship, and not sponsorship of just projects, but sponsorship of Parks and Rec in general. Is there more sponsorship that we could be getting? Are there other partnerships that we could be building? Is there other opportunities that we're missing out on?
Well, I think we've done really exceptionally well over the last 3 years with partnerships and sponsorships, and I think a lot of that's due to the gentleman that we have working with us through the Parks for All Foundation. And we did the trail markers, just recently did Invista, you know, the girls softball complex with Invista, Hills, Bark Park, to name a few. I think those things are important, and I think they're really, I'll be honest, when I try to pitch things to these organizations, I tell them I think we'll get a lot further when we have these public-private partnerships. And when I come up here to you guys and have somebody willing to pony up half or more of a project, I feel like I've got a much better chance of succeeding. So yes, I think that's what we need to be doing, and that's what we are trying to do.
Okay.
All right, let's move on then.
So here is my capital outlay. I just tried to put together a little graphic here that's easy to see and understand, but here's our capital outlay request for the next 5 years. I do want to point out that as I was preparing for this presentation, I realized that, well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's save that for my next slide. I'll point out my mistake on the next slide. This one's perfect. I'll run through these fairly quickly, but for next year, our master plan will be 15 years. It'll be 14 years old. It's this year, or 10 years old. Sorry, this year. So we'd like to get. Let me back up. The master plan will be 10 years old in 2024. So I'd like to start the process in 2023 of doing a new one, so we're ready when that rolls over. Just a little reminder that as part of our CAFRA accreditation, we are required to have a current and active master plan. I wouldn't recommend that we do another 10-year plan. I feel like that's too long. I think by the time you get into that 5th or 6th year, there's too much change. So I would want to go out for a 5-year plan. I put $150,000 on there. I think that I tried to be generous. I think we could probably do that for less. Gage Park, interrupt me at any time if you have questions, but Gage Park Playground, so I put a little asterisk there where I'd like to spend $250,000 total. So if we could get a half of this from capital outlay, we would cover the other half from our 3R fund. We are currently working on the playground at Gage anyway, as part of the $1 million that we got for playgrounds through ARPA. So that's one of the projects, and this would be sort of a phase 2 there. The Bettis Pony Field turf. Turf is, 8 to 10 years is the lifespan for turf. It'll be 14 years old in 2023, so we'd like to get that's pretty pressing. That's our marquee facility, and we bring people from all over the state and region into that facility. The wheeled excavator, I had to get educated on this a little bit, and that's a pretty hefty price tag. So that is essentially an excavator that could be driven anywhere. You don't have to put it on a trailer. You can drive it to where it needs to go. The main thing that we could use it for many different purposes, but I think the main purpose that we would use it for is the boom extension, the boom mower extension. So you could have an arm with a mower on the end of it. We have one now. It is, I believe it's 15 or 16 years old. It's a very finicky piece of equipment, and we only allow 1 or 2 people to operate it because otherwise it gets broken. This piece of equipment would be much more robust. We could clean shorelines around Lake Shawnee with this. We could drive down our trails, the Shunga, and clean brush overhead. Get these things mowed back. It would be a lot easier, a lot quicker. We could just cover a lot more ground and get a lot more of those types of things done that we currently struggle to do. When you drive around the lake and you see brush this high around the water and you have folks trying to fish over it, that's not an ideal situation. But right now, with the exception of that boom mower, like I just saw it out last week, like I said, it's just not very efficient. Most of the time, we're relying on our staff to be in there manually removing it, or the jail crew. The jail crew has been a good resource for us there. They've cleaned a lot of shoreline at the lake. But there's a lot more to do. The trails are a big one. If you've been down the Shunga, you know there's areas where the wildlife is just encroaching on the trail, the trees and whatnot, and this would allow us to go in pretty short order, get a lot of that cleaned up. So it's a hefty price tag, but I think it would be really worth it. Any questions about 2023 before I move on?
No.
2024, just one item, and that's the quad fields at Bettis. So that turf went in at the same time. So by 2024, it'll be 15 years old. I broke them up in hopes that it would be more palatable and that we'd be able to do this. In all honesty, we'd probably get a better price if we did them the same year. But either way, they need to be addressed at some point relatively soon. Lake Shawnee, shelter number 5, and as we get into, I know there'll be another CIP hearing. We'll bring pictures and things and go into more detail, but shelter number 5 at the lake is an open-air shelter. It's a long, narrow shelter has, if you can picture it, has railings all the way around it. It's in a really nice area of the lake, but it's very shaded, and the wood is rotting, and it's just falling apart, and it doesn't look good, and it's in bad shape. So we'd like to replace that with another open air shelter, not actually looking for an enclosed shelter, just an open air. And then Snyder's Cabin, the next item, and that's at Gage Park. So as Bill would tell you, Snyder's Cabin used to be an open air shelter that they put walls up around. It's not in great shape. And to be honest with you, I think creating a new open air shelter there, as we're working on an in-house master plan for Gage Park. And as part of that process, we're assuming that at some point, we're not gonna be able to use Big Gage the way we currently use it. Big Gage was really negatively impacted when they built Kay's Garden and we lost all the parking. And so we'd like to have, instead of one, Big Gage is a big shelter. Instead of duplicating that somewhere else, what staff would like to have is 3 medium-sized shelters. That would take care of all of our camps for the summer, and those would provide good rentable spaces the rest of the year for the public. So replacing the Snyder's Cabin would be step 1 in sort of achieving that plan. That's it for 2025. 2026, the Lake Shawnee Rec Building is a building where right now, we're predominantly just gets used for our summer camp at the lake. Because it's not a great building. It's not very attractive, and it doesn't get rented out much, I don't believe. Yeah, okay, we don't even offer it. We would like to, and again, this has the asterisk, we think it would take, we actually had Falk architect do a design for us. It's about $300,000 price tag, so we're hoping we could do $100,000 from the capital outlay, $100,000 from our revolving fund, because it does get used 3 months out of the year for camp, and then $100,000 out of our 3R fund to cover that. And then last but not least, the Rhinish Rose Garden in 2027. The Rose Garden has remained largely the same for many, many years. I forget the year now, but we're coming up on the 100th year anniversary. We still have a ways to go, but we would like to rework the pergola area, make it more accessible for weddings, a little nicer venue. We'd like to take the fountain that we've already removed because I've had a lot of problems, put that back in the middle of the garden where it was originally back in the day, and then do a lot of improvements to the beds and the area around the beds. Concrete walkways, curbing, those kind of things would take a lot of pressure off our staff who are trying to maintain the beds. We want to make it, obviously it'll make it more attractive, but it'll also make it easier to maintain. And that's, to me, almost the most important thing. What can we do to make this easier to maintain so it looks good all the time? That's my capital outlay request for the next 5 years. Huh? I missed one? Oh, West Edge Road. I skipped over it. And that's a good one. I've been working with Kurt Niehaus on this project. And West Edge Road, we did East Edge Road, a portion of it, a few years ago. West Edge Road, we went in and sort of mapped out what we believe the areas are that we should be responsible for. So, as you know, West Edge is a thoroughfare for people getting to their homes, and there's actually homes on West Edge Road. But we took everything that I felt like was specifically servicing the park, Lake Shawnee, and asked Kurt to help me come up with a price. I put $750,000 down because I didn't know. I actually got the price this morning. and it's a little under $500,000. So I've already shaved off $250,000. That would be to mill and overlay pretty large sections of West Edge Road. So, and when we, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask a question just because I think there's another one that I don't see on your list anywhere for shelter house number 3 at Lake Shawnee.
I thought we removed it because I think we're moving ahead with that right now.
So just scrap that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's good
Yeah,
news.
we're just going to go ahead and try to get that done ASAP.
Perfect, thanks.
Which one is 5, shelter house?
5 is that, it's a long,
Just north or west of Reynolds, in between, if you were on rowing, the rowing association and Reynolds Lodge.
Okay, I know which
sort
one
of a
you're
long,
talking.
skinny,
Yeah,
oddly shaped little shelter.
I know what you're talking about now.
Well, I'll jump into the object, or the items that I feel need to be bonded, and this is the one where I realized that I'd made a mistake. I'd left one out, and that was number 3, which is Dornwood. We've been talking about Dornwood for many, many years, and I had the paperwork. I just don't know why I didn't submit it, so I went ahead and put it in there. I'll have to send you guys the forms, but starting with Family Park Phase 1, since we submitted this, I've met with HTK and MCP Group Construction Company to get some more concrete prices on a Phase 1 for Family Park. This would include what did we end up with? This would include pickleball courts, a playground, a shelter restroom combo, an open air shelter with a restroom, a dog park, still the Great Lawn, we think we can save that, which is basically just a manicured area of grass. And then some, a trail that would run really from, just through the spine of the park, ending up at that, on that neighborhood to the, that's to the west, I think, to the west. So I think that's obviously one of the things we think is most important with development of Family Park, is that we connect that neighborhood specifically to the park, because it's the closest neighborhood. Their price for all of that was closer to 4.8 than 400,000. I mean, 4 million. They, I challenged them to make a few tweaks. I think we can get it maybe down a little bit, but I think you're looking at 4.8 as closer to the realistic number.
Tim, I had a question, on that trail, what, are you looking at a single track trail or a concrete trail?
My thought, Bill, was to do a concrete trail that ran the width of the park, the length of the park. And then we could do some single track, soft surface trails off of that, probably on our own.
Okay, and, all right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's gonna come down to money. You know.
There is an area in the, what would be the southwest corner of the park, sort of, where I've asked city planning, when they plat that,
Yeah.
that area just to the west, there would be like a 60-foot right-of-way. So when you get to that point, check with the city, see what they've left us there.
I let HTK know that. I
Okay.
said that we'd had that conversation, and that's where we'd like that trail to end,
That
is
way
down
you
in
have
that
a
area.
nice entrance into the park without
Yeah,
walking between people's
Exactly.
houses.
exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect spot, so. Next one, Oakland Billard Park. We've talked about renovating the community center. You know, we spent about $600,000 renovating Hillcrest. I think we need a little bit more if we were going to do the entire, and we didn't, if you remember right, Hillcrest, we got some funds from other sources, and we didn't complete the entire building. We probably got about 85% of it. So I think the building, probably looking at about $1 million at least to do the building, and then that leaves about $3.5 million to do the park. Am I missing something?
I think I owe them a piece of paper.
Oh, okay, Oakland? That's all right.
Because I'm not finding it in my stack either.
It's not in mine.
The big question about Oakland is, what do you do with the aquatic facility? And you've got to do something. I don't think that current facility is sustainable. It's it's 50, I think 7 years old now. I keep saying 56, but I think we're up to 57 years old. You know, we've done a survey. I've met with the NIA. I've had meetings with the councilwoman from that district. There's a lot of very passionate opinions about how we move forward. And I want to be open to all of those. But I can't help but state that in the back of my mind, it's the idea of building a big new aquatic center and then trying to staff it is daunting. I mentioned all of our aquatic needs with staffing, and lifeguards is one of them. In a perfect world, we just go, and if we had the funds, we'd build a brand new pool and just go. I think we really have to do some soul searching and not just the county, not just the Parks and Rec Department, but the Oakland community. We need to come together and come up with a plan that we think is sustainable moving forward. I definitely want them to be involved in the process. We're not going to make decisions for them. We want them to be part of the decision. So I know it's a touchy issue, but we do need to figure this out. Again, that's one of the reasons we have such a hard time maintaining all of these aquatic centers, is a lot of them are aging and a lot of them are failing, and we're spending a lot of time, money, and effort trying to keep them afloat, and right now with absolutely no aquatic maintenance staff. So, but I think it's important. I think it's got to be, it has to be, in my opinion, it's one of the most important things we have on this list. Dornwood renovations, again, we started this process many years ago. We haven't quite finished it. I'd like to get this off the books, get this done. It needs a new parking lot area, a concession stand with a restroom, and then some field renovations. Yeah, we got a couple fields. So I think we can do that for 1.5, and it would, you know, it's service. The great thing about Dornwood is we're providing services there for kids that don't get services other places. You know, it is a great facility, and it's the way we're using it. I'm very proud of how we use it, but I don't think it doesn't meet our standards as far as how our facilities should look everywhere. It just doesn't meet our standards, and they deserve more. Grange Hall. So we've talked about this for several years too. So I'm probably not the foremost expert in the room about this project, but if we're going to move forward with it, I think we need to start making some concrete plans and figuring out how we're going to finance it. And this is the only way that I know how. We've already got a commitment from the Friends of Ward Mead for a pretty substantial donation. So I'm not 100% sure that what I'm showing here would cover it. I think this was a price that would have worked if we had gotten some grant money, if I remember right. But maybe we need to revisit that even as we move forward. So,
well, you have a Friends group that's raised over $500,000.
Right.
I think the potential for naming rights could bring in a lot of money for something like this.
I think you're right. One that's not on here, but I'm just going to throw it out because I've had conversations here recently with Topeka Tennis. Just so you're aware of it, it's not an official request on my sheet here, but as you know, there's been conversations about building a pickleball courts and a racket complex at Felker, right next to Crossover. And I did have just a nice lunch with some of the guys from Topeka Tennis Association, and outside of that big dream, they would like to move forward with building 3 more courts at Felker, 3 more tennis courts. That gets them to a level where they could have national tournaments, which they're just under right now. So there would be some financial, economic impact, you know, for Topeka that would come along with that project. We originally were thinking maybe somewhere around $50,000 a court. They did a little more research and let me know it's probably more of like about $90,000 a court. That would include lighting and some other things. So that's, like I said, not on my official list, but I think you might hear about it, and so I just thought I'd bring it up. 2024, fleet and ground shop. So fleet and ground maintenance shop. So again, just as a reminder, our fleet shop is on Curtis Street. There is a lot of momentum, I think even more so now with the Quincy Viaduct project that's going on. There's just a lot, I think there is some gathering momentum about doing a riverfront park development. And I don't want to be the one who slows that down. So we'd really like to find a way to create, build a new shop for our fleet group and then combine that with our grounds maintenance folks. Again, their shop is in poor shape. Probably not as poor a shape as our natural areas shop. Again, with the exception of golf, all of our shops are in desperate need. Just give you an idea, the grounds, and I don't want to go over my 30 minutes, so if I'm getting close, let me know. But it's a dirt floor shop with holes in the ceiling, so when it rains, when you're in the shop, you're walking around in the mud. I mean, that's when I have supervisors tell me that they're embarrassed when they hire new staff, when they show up the first day to show them where they're working, that doesn't make me feel good. And I think we can do better than that. So.
And that, Tim, that's the shops up by Great Overland Station.
The fleet shop is just the one we need to move from because that's city-owned property.
But that's the one with the dirt floor?
That's not. That's the natural area shop, which is a Gage, which is in that Gage maintenance compound.
Oh, okay.
So you have our building maintenance folks have a shop there. It's not too bad. I mean, it's a little more modern. It's in pretty good shape. All in all, it's old, but it's decent. But yeah, that natural area shop, I have some photos. The ceiling's falling apart. They have a little office area where it has a ceiling, but it's falling in because of all the water damage. And they laugh. They have to put a cover over the bucket on the bucket truck because it fills up with water when it rains. It's just it's bad. It's real bad. And so anyway, moving on. Family Park Phase 2, push that out to 2025. That would be a little bit contingent on what we're actually able to do in Phase 1. And then in Vista Softball Complex, 2026, that would be reworking that entrance, new restroom, concessions facility, and some areas that would make the fan experience a little bit more enjoyable. Shaded concourse, better seating, that sort of thing. So. With that, I will stop talking and be happy to answer any questions.
I'm sure we have more questions than what the time is going to allow. Tim, I know, that I spend a lot of time out at Bettis on the quads fields.
Yeah.
Coaching baseball, and the turf out there, with the exception of the batter's box, actually looks pretty good. Is there any way that rather than spending $700,000 that we could just cut out the batter's boxes and fix those?
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know how far you're going to be able to push it. And I think it probably looks good because you don't really have, you don't have anything to compare it to.
Well, I've been on the turf at Invista, which is brand new and very nice.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not that quality.
Right.
But it was also built the technology has come a long way
Absolutely.
with, the materials they're using, but.
I would say, and I didn't mention this earlier, that I think while there's not probably, there's a possibility we could raise some funds through some naming rights, but we have naming rights on some of those fields already. But I think there's a possibility that we work with Shawnee Heights. And they originally were involved when we built that complex and put those turf fields in, and they certainly benefit from them. And we were having discussions at one point, and then they had a administration change, and we haven't gone there again. But I think we could offset some of the costs that way.
The other thing I wanted to ask about is a lot of these improvements that we're talking about are in Gage Park.
Yeah.
And we've got this sort of thing looming out there that there's a possibility that there may be a Gage Park sales tax. Valid question. If that were to pass, does that change a lot for us? And do we want to, and with the possibility of that happening, do we want to continue to budget for a playground at Gage Park
Yeah.
when, there might be a new revenue source to
Yeah.
take care of that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I thought about that. That's one of the reasons that I pushed Snyder's Cabin back a ways. I feel a real sense of urgency to do something about Gage Park Playground now. And we're doing that. We've interviewed, not to spend too much time, but we've interviewed 5 different playground firms. We're putting together bids. We've picked somebody to try to come up with a concrete plan and number for that we'll bring up here and ask to be approved. It's in bad shape, and I don't want to wait on it. But those other things, yes, I think we absolutely could hold off until we see how that plays out.
I like the idea of adding the 3 tennis courts at Felker. I think that just puts them on a whole different level.
It does.
All of a sudden, then you can attract those national tournaments.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a good investment for Topeka. That's money when you bring in big tournaments. And we have the room to expand.
Yeah.
To the
Oh, yeah.
east, there's plenty of room there.
Yeah, I think we would, I think if we were to get serious about that project, we would, the numbers we're getting right now, we're getting from them. And they're smart guys, they've got some good resources, but I think we'd want to work with them at least to come up with some very concrete numbers that we'd feel good about coming up here and asking for.
They're usually good to come up with some money on their own.
They
too.
are, yeah, they're another group
good to
that,
work with.
yeah, they pony up.
I also, I like the Dornwood project. I did a master plan for that a number of years ago. It's probably
still have it.
still in the drawer. But I think there's a lot of potential there. It's not the level it should be.
Yeah.
And I was over there the other day looking at the new trail and saw the kids at the spray park and
Yeah.
pretty active.
It
There's
really
a lot
is.
going on over there.
It really is.
There's people on the nature trails. And, it would be an enhancement for that community.
Yeah.
It really would be. And so.
So Tim, speaking of Dornwood, is the plan out there just to do more baseball and softball? Or are we looking at soccer fields or basketball courts or anything else out there?
Right now, it's just baseball, softball.
And replacing what's there.
What's that?
Not adding, but replacing.
Yeah, just taking what's there and now, Commissioner Cook and I had this conversation here a while back about numbers being down. I'm hesitant to immediately jump ship because, I think numbers are down everywhere. I mean, the pandemic had something to do with that, but I kind of want to get a sense on where we are before we decide. I have toyed with it. I drew a soccer field in there one day and saw how it would fit. I want to do whatever makes the most sense, but regardless of what that is, something needs to happen.
Well, the reason I ask is, I'm a huge baseball fan. I love baseball, right? And softball. But we have, it seems to me at least, a lot of old abandoned softball and baseball fields around the city. I mean, Oakland, Santa Fe, Major Palm. I mean, we've got a lot of fields that were built when the sport was a whole lot more popular. Do we want to put a whole lot of money back into that if they're not going to get used?
I think the difference between the ones that you, I think most of the ones you mentioned anyway, is that these ones at Dornwood, they are being used. We know they're being used, and it's primarily youth. Some of those at Santa Fe and Oakland, I think, had adult softball and other things on them. But you're right. I mean, the fields at Oakland, not getting used much. They're sitting empty most of the time, and it's probably the same at Santa Fe.
Shawnee South, I mean, those fields don't get used. I'm not sure the lights work out there anymore.
I don't know either. I know we don't program them, but they always look immaculate. I mean, I don't know if they're getting used or our staff's just doing a fantastic job of maintaining them, but they always look great.
Well,
which one's that?
I think over by
Belmont Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shawnee South. But
Yeah.
I honestly, that's, I think, another place that we probably need to look at spending a little bit of money out in the Montera area too. I think that,
Yeah.
you know, there's, with the addition of the Walmart, the Mars, everything out in that area, I think there's probably a need. There's a lot more workforce housing type situations out there, young
Yeah.
families that probably need some more amenities, but. Anything else?
Like I said, there's a lot more questions than we have time today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just email them to Jennifer Sauer.
So, since you mentioned me, I'm gonna ask you to make sure that I have captured, because I have changes that I think I need to make for
Okay.
your CIP. So I'm gonna get rid of the shelter 3.
Yes,
You're gonna send a Dornwood renovation for 1.5 million.
yes.
And then the West Edge Road changes from 750,000 to 500.
Yeah, it's just a little under 500. I'll send you that too.
Okay, and is there any change to the amount on the Family Park Phase 1?
I think we ought to pencil in 7.8. That's where we're.
4.8?
Oh, sorry, 4.8. Whew, yeah. I think that's what we asked for as the first phase was $7 million back in the day, but.
So 4.8.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Just throwing around millions of dollars like it's nothing.
all right, I just wanted to make sure I caught it all.
Okay.
Could we add the tennis courts?
So, I think if we're gonna do that, we probably need to look at it as the bigger project.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we add 3 more courts and we get a national tournament, do we have the restroom capacity to handle that? And we just renovated that restroom, and it was expensive. But is it big enough to handle another 300-400 people? I doubt it. I mean, it's only 4 or 5 stalls in each restroom.
I would say you're probably right.
I don't know. I couldn't.
I mean, I think believe me, I want to grow. I think it'd be great to have more events and bigger events, but I don't want to set ourselves up for failure. And the restroom trailer, we've used that in the past, but it's not been real popular when we do.
The trailer, quite honestly, needs to go away. I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of Porta-John companies in town that would welcome the business, as opposed to us out there every day pumping that truck out.
That's not really what it was designed for. I mean, it's an emergency management trailer for.
And if Dusty needs it, I'd be happy to let him have it.
Sure. Anything else? All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And we have Mandy Shikansky, who's our Executive Director of Prevention and Resiliency Services here today too. We're requesting continued funding from the county. This year we received $15,000 for the program, and we're asking for three more thousand to support our neighborhood crime prevention program because it has grown so much, and we need some help with some salaries to help with that. Of course, the $18,000 from the county continues to support the mobilization and services to neighborhoods, individuals, and businesses throughout Shawnee County. These valuable services include Neighborhood Watch support, National Night Out coordination and activities, the Safe Streets Coalition to address crime and substance abuse prevention issues, and providing a wide range of presentations and workshops geared to support the health and safety of Shawnee County residents. You know, before COVID, we exceeded our National Night Out goals. Before COVID, we had 85 neighborhoods that participated in National Night Out, and 12,000 people. Then COVID came along, and we couldn't do it in 2020, but in 2021, we had 45 neighborhoods and 3,500 people participate. And this year, I know we're going to have more. We already have 43, as of this morning when I left, 44 neighborhoods registered. And of course, we're a month out, so I'm sure that will increase. As far as our neighborhood watch groups, we had, so far this year, we've had 14 neighborhood watch and 11 additional meetings geared towards the Latino population. You know, we do provide English and Spanish, so we want to work with the neighborhoods and come to their level to see what needs they may need. We have had a few new inquiries. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we had a new one, and I have some other calls out. A lot of them are waiting until National Night Out to have neighborhood watches. They said, let's get together first and have National Night Out and then concentrate on neighborhood watch meetings individually. So a lot of these meetings for Neighborhood Watch, we've done in person, by Zoom, Facebook, and webinars to meet the needs of the community. And we made a pivot also to provide information on a monthly safety newsletter to all the neighborhoods. There are 142 neighborhoods and 118 in the city and 24 in the county. There may be an additional one in the county, or maybe I should say more than one, because a week ago I was called to speak to the Auburn City Council, and they want to have several neighborhood watch meetings there. So I'm to go back and talk with them about getting all those organized before too awfully long. I do know that they had National Night Out there before, and they're trying to secure a person to plan it for this year. So we'll see how that works. The person who normally planned that moved. So we'll see how that works. We utilize a lot of emails, social media, and media to help people keep informed about crime trends, the safety tips, resources that might help the neighborhoods be safe. I will tell you that more than almost 3,000 people saw the social media and traditional media last year. Now, some of those are duplicated numbers because if you go out and view, say on the Facebook page, when we post information, and then they'll go out maybe the next week and view it again. Also on the Latino, Facebook, or maybe on the website, you'll see some Spanish language media, and that was a little over 15,000 to reach the Spanish, those Latinos. I did speak with Melanie Burgers. They're still thinking about getting some neighborhoods east of town in the county. She's the Shawnee County dispatcher, and so I think she's in charge of the Shawnee County dispatch. So we're working with that and see how they want to divide the different neighborhoods there. The latest issues that I've been receiving lately for the neighborhoods are issues about drug houses, suspected drug houses, some vehicle break-ins, some issues with people taking mail out of mailboxes. And to give you a success story, we have Gage Park West neighborhood that's up about like 6th and Gage. A person came home for lunch and saw someone taking things out of the mailbox. They took a picture of the license tag. They called the police. They sent me the license tag number. I sent that on to the sergeants, and they caught them at 29th in California, a little bit further from where they stole the mail. So when they went to this person's house, the person had a setup that they could wash checks and change the amounts. They had an ID situation where they could make IDs, and then they also had an area where they could do fake driver's license. So, of course, they ended up in jail. There are normally always two of them that go. One drives the car and the other one gets out and takes the mail. And they also had packages. So they were taking packages from the porches. So we work with the neighborhoods to know what to do when they see these kind of activities, how to report it, how to stay in touch with your neighbor. So we do email phone trees for all the neighborhoods. There are over 3,000 on the email phone trees. And so we keep those updated as much as we can with the information from the neighborhoods. Right now I have about 4 more email phone trees to update just lately. So this way they can call a neighbor and say, you've got some activity, I know you're not home, is this person supposed to be at your house? Then we can get law enforcement out right away to try to keep everybody safe. We do different presentations to the neighborhoods and also to businesses. We provide mediation if they have a problem with their neighbor. We're glad to help with that. We do Spanish or English. We have what we call CEPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. So we go out and talk to the neighborhoods. You have an opportunity here to reduce crime in your area, and this is how you can do it. So if you have a situation where you have your shrubs are too high, people can hide. If you have your limbs on your trees are too low, people can hide. So we go out and talk with them about that and how you can make your house safe, whether it be like the locks on your door, be sure and lock your windows, anything like that. We also talk to them, and a lot of this is happening now. People are getting into garages. So that's another area. If they have a phone email tree, they can call their neighbor and say, your garage door's up. Or, I know you're not home, can I go over and close your garage door? So that keeps people from getting into your garage. Also, people don't close or lock the inside door from the garage to the house. So that's another opportunity. So things like that we go over with them and just try to keep them safe. A lot of neighborhoods have patrol. In our neighborhood, we have 24-hour patrol. It could be a person walking. It could be a person driving a vehicle. It could be a person just sitting on their front porch. So this way, they watch, different areas in their community that might really provide an opportunity. We talk to them about 3 things to keep the crime down. We know that a criminal has a desire to do the crime. The second thing is, does he have the ability to do it? And the third thing, which we try to get people to really be aware of, is the opportunity. And there, again, I talked about the opportunities, in your house or whatever the case might be. We do have, as I said, some new neighborhoods. We have Ward Parkway Park, and that's a brand-new one from a week ago. We had really good turnout for that one, and they want to even do a national night out, so they're really enthused about that. We have Oak Park. We have several mobile home groups that want to set up one as well, but they want to meet again after National Night Out. And going a little bit back to National Night Out, I did give you an invitation to the VIP bus. Some I know like to ride the VIP bus. We do go to 4 neighborhoods. We meet at the police department at 4:30. The bus leaves at 5, and we're back to the police department at 8 o'clock. And so we would invite you to come and bring a guest if you like. Just let me know. I know some like to ride behind the bus, because they like to stop maybe at more than just the 4. And of course, that's always good as well. The list that you have there is only a preliminary list. And we'll be adding more, and we'll send that to you for those that are already registered. But you can see the ones that are in the county and the ones that are in the city. To brag a little bit, we're number 4th in the nation. In 2019, when we had it, we were number 5, and so last year we were number 4. So this year they say, we'd like to be number 1, so we'll work hard to see what we can do about that. I would like to give you the ones ahead of us in the ranking. The Woodlands, Texas, Richardson, Texas, at Hanover County, Virginia, and then we're number 4. So I know everybody is really excited about it this year, and they're really going to work hard to improve. I would like to thank Riley Schaefer with the Parks and Recs. He's really been good to help us with the community centers and the parks. He was there at the planning meeting this in June and talked about that. And of course, I do need to give you our sponsors. Evergy always helps us each year. Prairie Band, Potawatomi Nation. Reese's Fine Foods gives free side dishes for all the neighborhoods. Hy-Vee and Dillon's gives us free gift cards. Dillon's also provides a semi out there with all the water on pickup day. And then also Frito-Lay brings free chips out there, and they normally have a truck in our parking lot. Alpha Media is out there, WIBW, KSNT, so we couldn't do it without them. But if you have a spare moment on Monday, August 1st, we invite you to come to our parking lot and see all the neighborhoods out there picking up all their resources, and it's just really a fun time. Next year, we want to add a youth-focused event. And we want to make this National Night Out Week. So like Monday, they'll come and pick up their things. Wednesday, we'd have a youth event for National Night Out. It wouldn't be night, but. And then Friday is the kickoff party at Hy-Vee. Again, this year it's at Hy-Vee from 5 to 7. And then Saturday, our events all day. The first one starts at 8:30 with breakfast. I think I have 2 of them that are 8:30 for breakfast. So if you have breakfast, I'll give you the list, and you can go out and have breakfast with them. We have all kinds of activities. We have pool parties. We have cookouts. We have ice cream socials. And then the last one is a movie. So College Hill's going to do a movie again this year. I don't think they're going to spend the night all night like they did one year, but they're going to have lots of fun. Then, of course, we have the Safe Streets Coalition meeting. Now, we're going to do it a little bit different next year in that we're going to have really 4 really focused events. And to give you an example, we have one set up for July the 27th. This is at 9 a.m. and it's at the K. McFarland Japanese Garden venue. Now, this one is on Narcan. It's about opioids and how to use Narcan. So it's really going to be informative. You know, we have all this in our county, and we really want to reduce that. So this would be an opportune time if you have time and you can come out on Wednesday, July the 27th at 9 o'clock. It'll be just be 9 to 10 or 10:30, something like that. We normally do have a champion of character at our Safe Streets meeting, and of course, this is to award somebody who demonstrates character that significantly improves the health, safety, or quality of life in the community. We have one that has been nominated, so we'll do that on October the 3rd for our Safe Streets meeting. For that, I don't know if you've been aware of us having a YouTube and then live streaming on City 4 from our meeting. We do have, also we've done our meetings by Zoom. So whatever kind of works, you know, for the members in the community. So we try to make a lot of different opportunities available so that to keep them all aware. Of course, presentations. You know, we do presentations, again, in English or Spanish. We have the safe property management training, and of course, that's for landlords or apartment buildings, apartment managers who want to come and learn more about their rights or the rights of their residents. We also have an attorney that comes. We have the narcotics officer that comes. So we have a variety of people who come and really inform them about how to make their property safer. That's twice a year, and we normally do it in March, and then the next one will be October the 25th. So we'll have people registering before too long about that. We've done presentations to the Civitan Club, the Oakland NIA, and of course I mentioned the Auburn City Council, Apartment Council, and then I have one scheduled in September for the Landlord Association already. So that's kind of just a little summary of what we do and why we appreciate your support so much. You know, since 1995, Safe Streets has been working for peace in the neighborhoods. So we do that throughout Shawnee County. Our neighborhood is half city and half county. So we really appreciate it. I know all the neighborhoods really appreciate too, being able to help them with any problem. So as I say, our goal is to be a safe and healthy community that's free of effects of substance abuse and crime. And we do that through education, community mobilization, information dissemination, and continued public work. So we meet those goals head on. We're out. Sometimes we have 4 neighborhood watch meetings a week, each night for a week. So it kind of gets busy, but we're always glad to help the neighborhoods. When they call, we're out there to help them. So we really appreciate it. Do you have any questions I could answer?
Any questions?
None?
I have a question.
Bill?
Have you had much, I don't know, interest from other towns like Auburn or Silver Lake, Rossville, some of the little towns that are in the county?
Yes. Let's talk about National Night Out specifically, since we're kind of close to that right now. We have Tecumseh. We've got Tecumseh North and South, so there'll be 2 National Night Out. We have Barryton. Rossville hasn't yet committed to do it. They normally do it on the Tall Corn Festival. It happens the same day, so they do the Tall Corn in the day, and then they do their National Night Out event in the evening. And then, of course, we're waiting for Auburn. I have had calls out of the county, would I come and help them, but I can't do that since I'm concentrated in the county.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
We appreciate your support. Thank you.